are you?
That is good. Okay. Okay. So I said that I'm going to start by taking a recap about what we covered in the previous class. So in the previous class, we looked at SQL injection. And in the SQL injection, we did what? Uh, we looked at different types of injection. But before we reached even the SQL injection, what we did, uh, what we did we first defined SQL and why you need SQL. So, and also we explained the reason why you need SQL. You said that when you're writing projects, you need something called database. A database is a storage where you keep your what? Where you keep your data, because most applications that will be writing or softwares will be having, will be made of files. So, and but may different user scenarios or different user cases. For example, we said like a school management system, you can have 20 students or 50 students in that school, but all of them, you need to display them in a single file or in a single page, maybe for example, for a student's profile. So we said that if you want to display maybe 20 students in one simple, in one file, not to create a static file times 20. If you want to use a logic that you write one file only and then use that file to display all all the information, the information about all students. It means that you'll need another logic or another software that will help you to keep the records that are only dynamic. For example, if you're recording maybe student name and the class and maybe and the photo, so those are the things that you record in the storage that is dynamic. Then things like design, colors, HTML, and CSS, you write them only one time. Then you'll be fetching the information from the other storage and then display them in this one file that is static, for example, HTML, and just be checking the records that are changing, that are dynamic. So we say that storage is called a database. And that storage, it has its own rules that you have to follow. So you keep only their records that can change anytime, and then you be fetching them, and then you display them. So that is just like one scenario, but there are so many scenarios where you can need such kind of what? Such kind of storage, which is called database. So we say that database, there are different types of database. For example, there is Oracle, there is MySQL, etc. Then we said those storage, oh those storages, the databases. There is a standard language that we always communicate with them, and that language is called what? SQL. So that language is standard querying language, SQL. We have different types of SQL, but the most standard one, just like there is HTML, which is the standard way of writing web pages. So also a standard way of communicating database is called what? SQL. So that language is the one that connects us with the database, and then we display this information to a web page. But we say that when you're connecting data from, when you're connecting information, when you're collecting information from the database, you need there an intermediate language that will be doing the logic to get the information from database, and then maybe loop and maybe make some condition, maybe do something like that. So we say that language is called what? A programming language. And we have different types of programming language. Among them, it can be PHP, it can be Java, it can be JavaScript, it can be C Sharp, etc. So those are the languages that we have to connect to database, then make some logic, and then send that information to the user. So, but our main focus was on that language that we use to collect data from what? From database, because it is just like a car or a how should I call it? A transporter that enables us to fetch the data from the other storage. So we say that that car or that transmission medium can be really very handy, whereby if we don't do it properly, people can use that transition system or that communication medium to manipulate our data. And we looked at very many different dangers that can be resulted if someone finds a way to manipulate what? Manipulate that transition medium, or what you can call SQL. So that process of someone targeting your SQL so he can manipulate it or he can do something that you did not intend to do. That process is what we call what? What we call SQL injection. And we also went ahead and said that this SQL injection can be either by your own, by someone's intention or user's intention, or it can be by your own intention. Then we went ahead and looked at different types of SQL injection and what can cause SQL injection. We say that if you do things in a lazy way, for example, you collect the data from the user and you just write an SQL without cleaning that data or without checking for dangerous
Still,
scripts.
you better
Uh,
admit.
can
I'm
someone mute?
joking.
Can someone mute,
But
please?
you faster your nose.
Mute your microphone, please. Okay. So I'm summarizing the previous class so we can proceed. Um, guys, if you're not saying anything, you can mute. Muhiro Innocent, and then Richard, mute, or Kiro Richard. If you have nothing to say, mute. Okay, okay, okay. So I'm finalizing the previous lecture, and we said that so he said that if someone finds a way to manipulate your SQL, it can be really dangerous. And one of the way is by allowing users to enter the data into your system or your application, and then you go ahead and be so much lazy and just collect that data and put it straight to your database without checking for dangerous character or without implementing countermeasures to reduce the SQL injection. So if you do that, then means that your system, someone can accidentally uh, mess with the database or uh, intentionally mess with the database. For example, how accidentally, for example, if there is an apostrophe with in my name and I go ahead and put it in your system, yet we know an apostrophe can affect a syntax of SQL. So what does it mean? I can put it there uh, without my intention and I end up uh, messing with the what with the database. So we say that SQL injection is something that you need to be very much careful about, and when you're doing your system. Then we went ahead and looked at the different programming languages that can be affected by SQL injection. So we also conclude that you don't depend on a programming language and say that me I'm using Python, so to communicate with my database and Python is powerful, maybe it's not prone to SQL injection. No, programming languages, they are stupid things. They don't think. Okay, so if you don't make them effective, they can still do a stupid thing. It's just like a knife. You can use a knife to do something good like cutting meat, etc. But you can use the same knife to kill yourself. Okay, so that's how programming languages are. They give you ability to do anything. You can use them to do harm or good. So if you cannot depend on a certain programming language that it is not prone to SQL injection, and then start doing things in a lazy way. No, as long as it's a programming language, still it will be that communicate the database still to be prone to SQL injection. So we say that when you're writing that things that are going to communicate database, we need to be careful of SQL injection, regardless of programming language. So I went ahead and looked at different types of SQL injection. We also looked at SQL injection, for example, basing on the fact that 1 is always equal to 1. So if you figure out a way and put maybe an O and say 1 equal to 1, you can end up accessing things that you are not supposed to do what? To access if a programmer did not put that into consideration. We went ahead and looked at different examples like batch execution of SQL. We also demonstrated that whereby we were able to execute more than one SQL where someone was trying to select a user to see when they're trying to log in, and then for us we stopped that SQL and we went ahead and dropped the table, and so we were able to successfully drop the table. So just you can imagine how much that can be really handy. So be much you need to be really careful when you're doing what when you're dealing with SQL injection.
You did
Then
XSS.
we looked at the how we can uh, try to reduce these risks of SQL injection, and that is where we looked at way, for example, creating prepared statements, uh, checking for dangerous characters, also using start procedures, etc. So we look at different ways of how we can escaping strings that are dangerous. So I hope you went ahead and did maybe more research about it and found a way how you can get rid of it. You can reduce on the risk of SQL injection. So in a recap, that's what we covered in the previous classes. So I hope you've now remembered. So if you bring such question in the exam, you should be able to do what? Pass them because they're not really simple. And we have taught you slowly by slowly. So if you're really attentive, I hope if you did not really grasp the same, you did not memorize like understanding it, the exact same thing that we talked, at least you must have understood uh, or relate what we are talking about. So that's it, and that brings us to our next topic, which is cross-site scripting, what we call XSSH. All right, so let's start. So Muhindo Mubarak and together with Dr. Drake, we are going to demonstrate to you, or going to present to you this new new topic, which is a cross-site scripting attack, which is also a software security threat, what we call XSS. So I hope you can see the screen. I hope you can see the slides. So we begin. So what you're going to cover today, we are going to cover. We're going to cover the SQL. So we're going to cover the cross-site scripting attack. We'll cover the reflected XSS. We'll cover the persistent XSS. We'll cover the damage done by XSS attacks. We'll also look at we also look at XSS befriend with others attack, and then also looked at XSS attacks to change other person's profile. That's also another example to look at, and also look at the self propagation of XSS attacks. Then also looked at the different countermeasures that you can do for to get at reducing the risk of what of XSS attack. So let us begin from the first point by defining what is meant by XSS attacks or cross-site scripting attack. So in XSS, an attack injects his or her malicious code to the victim's browser via the target website. So this exercise, much of it is depending on website or web applications. So in simple terms, a person who wants to attack you, they will be able to successfully display their own things in your website, kind of hijacking. You have designed your website, it is ready to go, everything, it is okay. And when you share the link, someone is showing wrong things on your domain, or even doing some kind of fraud. So someone being able to have control over on your website and display his own things or their own things, that's what we call cross-site scripting attack. So XSH attacks a class of web security vulnerability that enable attackers to bypass same origin policy implemented in web browsers. So as we say that these attacks, the XSS attack, they depend, most of them, they depend on what? On web application or websites. They don't depend on what? On mobile application or other kind of software. They depend on the websites. And also, their target is to violate what we call same origin policy, what you can call SOAP, that is implemented in web browsers. So after this class, you can write down and go and search about same origin policy. So this policy, I can break it to you into a simple way. It is just a simple policy that says things that are on the domain, I mean things that are to be displayed on the website, they must be coming on that particular domain. I repeat, uh, same origin policy means that things that are displaying on the website, on a specific website, they should be coming from that particular website. Let us say JavaScript, they should be coming from that particular domain. So if I mean if you try to display things from different domain on the same particular website, but they are different domains, the website or the web browser will stop you, depending, basing on this policy called same origin policy. So why that same origin policy? That same origin policy is implemented to avoid the frauding. For example, uh, being able to say maybe a website maybe on for let us say for mobile money, and you're able to, and maybe your own website, but you're able to display maybe things for mobile money, or let us say like a website that you can use to transact mobile money or a bank transaction. You're displaying things from what, from a different domain. So that will be kind of what, of kind of fraud. So all browsers, they have a same origin policy to avoid such kind of browse. A domain is reading a different thing, and what you're doing and what you're seeing on your website, you're seeing different things. For example, a domain may be reading maybe mtn.co.ug, but when you visit the website, maybe you're seeing totally different things, maybe like pornography. So that is not allowed. Why? Because we may do that kind of what? That kind of fraud. So a domain needs to reflect what comes from its own server or what it is related to its own domain. But being able to display maybe a different website on the website, and proposing to be uh, proposing to show the content that that are supposed to be on that what, on that particular domain. So you'll be violating the policy of what, of same origin policy. So for those who program, I don't know whether you've ever tried to do asynchronous loading on the website, and then maybe like Google Chrome, it stops you, or it does not fetch the data from a different domain. Or if you've ever tried to load a CSS file, whereby a CSS file or JavaScript file is coming from another domain, and then Google Chrome, it stops you. It says that it cannot load that file because it's coming from another domain. So that limitation is what we call same origin policy. The content that displays on your website should be coming from the same domain or the public domain that are recognized for sharing the information. So that is same origin policy. So for this cross SS attack, they can violate this policy, whereby you have your own website, maybe a personal blog, but someone successfully loads his own website into your website. Someone visits your own domain, but someone shows his website. So having that access, you will have violated this policy called same origin policy. And that's what cross-site scripting attack does. So the same origin policy is a security policy that prevents web pages from accessing resources from other domains. I've already explained it. Okay. Then cross-site attacks exploit this vulnerability by injecting malicious code into the web page that runs in the context of a different domain. So I've already also explained this. And I think the speed that we are using, we are not very fast. We are going slowly by slowly so you can understand things properly. So if these two terms comes into your exam, I hope you'll be able to differentiate. If you say what is cross-access attack, or XSS attack, you'll be able to tell. And if ask you SQL injection, you should also be able to tell. The other one is about SQL. This was about attacking the website by violating the same origin policy. Okay. So if you never had these classes, or if you never had these two classes, and you didn't know these things, of course you could confuse them. But I hope the speed that we are using, you are understanding things. So we can proceed. I designed for you this diagram to show you or to demonstrate to you how XSS attack happens. So this is the website. Let me get here annotation. So this is your website that is on the server. So you have hosted it and you have started sharing the link to users. So if this malicious person or the attacker want to attack your website through malicious code, through cross-access attack, you can see the diagram. He will send his malicious code through the link, and then he make it proceed to the website user or the user. So you should observe one thing. This dotted line or this path that shows the code, it is not saved on what? It is not saved on what? On your browser. On your server. You can see it is just bouncing through the link and then proceed to the what? To the user's computer. So it is not saved on your what? On your server. That is one type of what? Of XSS attack. So the whole point here, it is targeting the website, and it does not what? It most of cases it is not stored on your what? On your server, whereby you pass or the malicious or the attacker, he pass his information into the what? Through the link to the user. So if this guy successfully successfully hacks your website and do process attack, then this user, or what you call the victim, or your customers, will be able to access your website, but they are seeing things that this person intended to do what? To show. You can see he's sending his black malicious code. It bounces, doesn't even touch your website. Through the link, it comes and then it starts being executed here on the website. So you may see it as a simple thing, but it is very dangerous thing. For example, let us say that you've done a kind of a Jumia website, okay? A Jumia, when I say Jumia, I know what I mean, because the most popular. You've done an e-commerce website, okay? And you accept payments, right? So maybe if a user or a customer comes and buys something, he should be able to do what? To place his card and then pay you. So what if this person is able to send here his own JavaScript? What does it mean? It means that a JavaScript file, or a JavaScript code can manipulate everything in the web browser. This person can send his JavaScript here. So once he send his JavaScript here, he can load now things directly from his server. Maybe he hide your website and then he display his own his own website. You get? He can write JavaScript that can hide everything of your code that you wrote, but he displays his own code. So if your website was like this, okay, he can do something that exactly looks like yours, but he displays his own website. So when you ask the person maybe to enter his card, okay, and submit the payment, this is maybe the button. So this person can also possibly design the same thing, okay, and then ask the people to do what? To submit. So this is you, and this is the attacker's page. So he can ask the person to do what? To submit. So when this customer places his card, places his password, and then submit, so the money does not come to your account, but the money goes to his account. So that can also be really, really dangerous. So this is just one scenario, but there are so many scenarios that can result to that can result from a person having the ability to display their own code on your what? On your website. It can sound simple. It can sound simple, but it is really, really dangerous. Imagine you've designed your website, but when people visit your website, they're seeing different things like pornography. So that is so bad. It can be embarrassing if you're not that type of person. I've given you an example. You've designed a system that will allow the payment, but when someone comes to register, to pay, the money goes to the wrong person. That can also really, really, can also be really frustrating and dangerous. There are so many ways. Imagine maybe it's a school system and you're allowing maybe the customers to register or the student to sign up using the website. But when they sign up on the code that goes to this guy or to the wrong guy. So for you, you'll be waiting for people to sign up while things they are not coming back, but they're going to the wrong person. So you can imagine different scenarios that can result for someone having the ability to show their code into your website or to execute their scripts into your
Excuse me, sir.
website. Yes, please.
I have a question.
Okay, I hope it's about
So,
this. Yeah.
yeah, it's about this.
Okay.
Now, the people who are providing the hosting services
Mm,
for your website,
mm,
can't they detect that someone is
mm.
sending something weird on your domain?
Oh, okay. I'll answer that. I will answer it with an example as we proceed. So just I've understood that question, but the point is they will not. And I will answer it with what? With an example. They will not, and I will answer it with example. So you remind me. Okay, I will tell you when I'm explaining. But the point is, the people who are hosting your website, they will not. First of all, for them, they give you a storage. So security, everything is up to you. Okay, it's just someone like who sells you land. So if I sell you land, don't tell me again I'll take care of thieves. I'll take care of thieves who may come and steal your and break through your house. I'll take care of pests and diseases which may attack your crops. I'll take care. No, for me, I'll sell you land. So you put there your garden, and the rest many consequences will be up to you. So you, the website owner, you're the one to take care of this kind of what? Of this kind of security vulnerabilities. Someone who gives you a website, to host your website, will not take care of your SQL injection, will not take care of such kind of what? Of attacks. And I'll also show you how it is almost up to you, not up to them. I've given you a simple example. If I sell you land, I've sold it to you, it is your land, then for me, I'll just go. So whatever I use that land for, or whatever happens for that land, maybe thieves have come and have stolen your crops, or they have broken through your houses, or pests and diseases they're attacking your crops. That is up to you. Okay, so these guys they provide us just hosting. The remaining consequences, security, etc. It's you to take care of. For now, I will answer it with a what with an example. But for now, have you understood the point? Who asked?
Yes.
What was your name?
Semakula Peter Waso.
Okay, Mr. Peter, have you got my point?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so in the proceed, I'll show you so the example how it is about you, not about the what? About the people who are hosting. I'll show you a practical example. Okay, so it's good you're following. Yeah, it's good you're attentive.
Excuse
So we
me,
have
Mubarak.
different categories. Yes.
I wanted to ask, does the
Your
URL of the
name?
website change?
First tell us
This
your
is
name.
this is Jablon. I
Hey,
wanted to
Jablon.
ask,
Okay.
does
Uh,
the URL of the website change? Or does it remain the same as it is being attacked?
It will change as I'll demonstrate to you. So it is just like you give me your website. Oh, I just land on your website, and you tell me to share the link. Oh, for me, I can. Let's say you have an e-commerce website, but for me, I learned that it has vulnerability of a processes um, attacks. You'll see the most of these things will be passing through what? Through the URL. So for me, I code that it is your domain, maybe jablon at eshop.com. I mean at jablon.eshop.com. So for me, I realized that Jablon's website has problem with what? With cross-access attack. So for me, I write my code, I attach it on that code, I attach it on what? On your domain, and I help you to promote the website. I share the link, I share the link, I share the link, but the link that I share, it has malicious code. So people will visit your website thinking they are coming to the e-commerce website. By the end of the day, I'm the one manipulating. Okay, so I will share with you how processes attack is done, and I'll show you how someone can manipulate. But the whole point it goes through the what? Through the URL get parameters. So our time is up for the first session, but let me finish this the next slide, and then we go for a short break. And then I'll also show you the link, and then we'll go for a short break. I hope you've put your names in the chat. Okay, I mean your IDs and then what in the chat. Okay, so let's look at these categories, then we go for a short break. So categories of cross-site. Oh my God. Ratio? No. Okay, so these are categories of cross-site scripting attacks. The first one we have non-persistent or reflected XSS attack. So this one is not, it's just a temporary one. It is not persistent. Another one we have persistent attack, or what we call the stored what? The stored attack. So in the next session, we begin from here, and also go ahead and do some practicals. So put your name into the chat, and then we go for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and at 11 at 10 past 11 we come back for our last session. Exactly 10 past 11. 10 past 11 you should be back, and we resume. So for those who are not fasting, you can go and drink some water.